The NBA trade deadline has come and gone, and the New York Knicks made a couple of trades if you go back to the OG Anunoby trade. But today, or I guess you could say yesterday, they added Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks. They added some firepower off the bench when it comes to scoring. But the Knicks may also add a couple more players, maybe just one player, in the NBA buyout market. Guys like Kyle Lowry, maybe a guy like Marcus Morris, maybe a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie. We're going to break down the top NBA buyout candidates that the New York Knicks could sign. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Because if the Knicks make a move, we break it down on this channel. We put out free, informative, entertaining content every single day. We go live for 95% of Knicks games on this channel. We were live for the trade deadline. And my mom says it's a pretty good, cool channel. So subscribe, turn notifications on, and help us reach our goal of 35,000 subs. For me, my number one buyout candidate for the Knicks that I would like for them to sign is Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry has not yet officially, at the moment of filming this, been bought out by the Charlotte Hornets. From people I've talked to and from what it sounds like across the association, Kyle Lowry is going to be bought out. I don't need Lowry to come and play 25 minutes for the New York Knicks. I just think having a veteran point guard that makes winning plays. I mean, go back to that series against the Heat last year. Lowry made some big plays for the New York Knicks, against the New York Knicks for the Miami Heat. He's a veteran. He gets some calls. If you bring it down low off a rebound, he'll swipe it away. And having a real point guard, I know they added Alec Burks, and he'll probably take on that role of being the backup point guard, but I almost would rather see a backup point guard like Kyle Lowry, who can continue to keep a stranglehold on the pace and flow of the game. Lowry is my number one guy. He is who I want to see the Knicks sign in the buyout market. And, yeah, that's my number one guy. Number two is Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris was a part of the Philadelphia 76ers when he woke up on trade deadline day. Then he was traded to the Indiana Pacers. Then he was traded to the San Antonio Spurs. And then he is going to be bought out by San Antonio. Marcus Morris is a former New York Knick. He was actually the one that got traded to the Los Angeles Clippers that netted the Knicks a first-round pick that they used on Emmanuel Quickley. We know what Marcus Morris can bring you. He can spot up from three. He can kind of face up in the mid-range game, and he brings a little bit of that dog and a little bit of toughness to this team. If the Knicks are looking for some forward help, I think Marcus Morris could make some sense. We're going to go through 6 other players on today's show. But who do you want the Knicks to sign on the buyout market? There's some good names out there. The Knicks can also offer their biannual exception, unlike a couple teams. And on top of that, the Knicks, they have just 13 players on their roster. So they're going to have to sign somebody, or they're going to have to make Taj Gibson a full-time contract. Got to have 14 players a couple of days after the trade deadline. Be interesting to see what the New York Knicks do. If you're looking to sign a center, maybe if Hartenstein's out for a couple of weeks or something like that, I'm hoping not. You could look at a guy like Robin Lopez. Lopez is probably the best big man on the buyout market. Also, like Marcus Morris, once a Knick, always a Knick with Robin Lopez. And we know Lopez is a guy that at this point in his career, the best days of his basketball career are behind him. But it gives you another body. He can still play a little bit. And if you throw him the ball on the post, he can still get that running hook shot to fall every once in a while. Maybe if you want to go back and get another guard, a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie, who was at the game for the Dallas Mavericks versus the New York Knicks. He was there. But he's going to have competition. The Dallas Mavericks are going to try to sign Spencer Dinwiddie as well. Mark Cuban was seen talking to Dinwiddie, I think it was pregame on the court at Madison Square Garden. Thing is, Dinwiddie is having the worst year of his NBA career. The guy is shooting 39% from the field and 32% from downtown. We know that Dinwiddie is a playmaker. He's got good size to him at about 6'4", 6'5", and he's someone that can kind of run your second unit a little bit. But I would rather a guy like Lowry, to be honest with you. And I also don't really just like Spencer Dinwiddie, to be honest. He's talked a lot of crap about the New York Knicks when he was on the Nets the first time when he was actually a good player. Yeah, I'm good on that. I don't want his fraud ass on the Knicks. Danuel House Jr. is another potential player the Knicks could look at. He's kind of been a journeyman in the NBA at this point, but he's an athletic wing that can give you some defensive pressure on the perimeter, and he's shown the ability at times to be a guy that can knock down some threes beyond the arc. 6'6", 220, gives you another wing, gives you another athletic guy, can defend multiple positions, giving you just 4 points per game. Wouldn't buy too much into that, but is shooting 44% from the field, and at times has been able to knock down that three-point shot pretty consistently. He's also from Houston. He went to a high school that was right next to my high school, so I got a little bit of love for Danuel House. Shout out to Houston. Hardly home, but always repping. Let's go. Check out our proud sponsor, Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in North America. It is prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS, and Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do is create a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you simply just choose more or less on that. My lineup, unfortunately, for the Knicks game against the Mavs, I only got 1 of 2 right. I thought Kyrie Irving was going to actually want to play some basketball against the Knicks. He didn't want to. But you can get your lineup ready for Super Bowl Sunday. They got awesome specials. They've got Patrick Mahomes, I believe, at 1 passing or half a passing yard. Take the more on that. Check it out. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. The next player we're going to talk about on today's show is Joe Harris, the sniper from deep, who was traded, I believe, or just waived by the Pistons. Yeah, was mentioned in trade rumors, but just bought out by the Pistons. Look, his talent has dwindled, no doubt about it. There's a reason a team is cutting him, but we know Joe Harris can do one thing, and that is shoot the basketball, and you can never have enough shooters. Not of high priority on my list when it comes to buyout guys, but, like, we shouldn't be able to shoot 40% from 3 in the playoffs, so I wouldn't hate it, but there's other guys I would prefer. If you're looking for a young point guard to maybe resurrect his career, Killian Hayes pretty much asked for his release from the Detroit Pistons. I want to say he was a former lottery guy, or just maybe it was a former first-round. Yeah, former lottery guy. This year, averaging 7 points per game, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 41% from the field. Has some good size at 6'5". Like, this is a guy that you could offer a 2-year deal at that biannual exception. If you miss out on a guy like Lowry, maybe doesn't play this year, but he could play next year. Young, has size, has had some production in the league. He's a player that I would not hate at all. Last player we're going to talk about on today's show is Victor Oladipo. Oladipo has been battling with some injuries this year. Kind of has been the reason his career has somewhat been derailed. I've always just kind of been a fan of Oladipo ever since he came out of Indiana. If I had to bet, he's probably going to the Miami Heat. Probably going to the Miami Heat. He loves, it just seems like he's always going to be a member of the Heat. But Oladipo, probably the next best player on the buyout market. You now take a look at what the New York Knicks top 10 on their roster would look like if they are at full strength. Jalen Brunson at the 1. I think your starting lineup will be, when healthy, this year. Brunson, DiVincenzo, Anunoby, Randall, and Isaiah Hartenstein. Yes, I said Isaiah Hartenstein. I think if Mitchell Robinson comes back this year, which he is expected to do, I think he'll be your big man off the bench while you have Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson, as well as Precious Achiuwa coming off the bench. Look, when you stack up top 10 players on a team against other top 10 players, I'm not sure anyone in the league has a better top 10 players than the New York Knicks from 1 to 10. You look at that roster, and you're like, how good is this team? I think they're pretty damn good. But they got to get healthy. It doesn't matter if you're not healthy. And they need to get OG back. They need to get Brunson back. They need to get Randall back. They need to get a lot of guys back. Mitchell Robinson. They got to get healthy. But my question is this. If healthy, the Knicks are the blank best team in the NBA. I go Nuggets 1. I go Celtics 2. I go Clippers 3. And our New York Knicks 4. That's where I got them right now. The Knicks are the blank best team in the NBA. Let me know what you think. As always, just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_.